Hey, shalom, shalom. Shalom. I want to start off this video by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushua, Bahashim Rakakudash. I want to give double honors to my apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who rule well, and grace and peace to you elect around the four winds, believing and pushing this truth in all sincerity. May the blessing of election be upon your houses. This is your fellow servant, Rakayer from the GMS Orlando camp, coming at you with some various topics. All right, I just have a couple of things I want to get into tonight. Lord wanted us to edify unto you elect. One of the first things I want to get into tonight is this video, actually. I caught from the Elder Yashuamba's 2 page, which this is the most recent video uploaded about 2 hours ago entitled Really. All right, check this out.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Hey, how you doing? Hey, sorry to bother you. I'm Fernando. Big Energy. We're in Fedor now. We're in 1845.
Okay.
So we do solar around here. We're just coming around talking to niggers. Sorry, dude. Neighbors. I apologize, man. No, man, that wasn't even...
Yeah, and this is him. This is him, Esau Edom. All right, you Israelites' chiefest enemy. You Israelites being you so-called Negroes, you so-called Latinos, and you so-called Native American Indians. All right, this is him. This is your chiefest enemy, Esau Edom, the so-called white man, which is the elephant in the room for the majority of our people, but it's a fact nevertheless. Look at his track record. We don't call the so-called white man the devil for no reason. All right, devil just means deceiver. All right, and what he's done throughout the four corners of the earth is nothing but deception. He's Satan, all right, adversary. Satan just means adversary. And he's been adversarial to every single way of the Heavenly Father and his only begotten Son. He's been nothing but an adversary to you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians. And as soon as I saw this video, it just had me meditating upon how the Lord is just starting to return everyone's true spirit back into their bodies, back into their respective lots here in these latter days. That old slave driver spirit is returning back into these devils, man. I see it personally on a daily basis. I work around a bunch of redneck, hard-drawn Edomites, man. That old spirit is returning, man. And that's why through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, we warn you not to trust these devils, man. Especially the system that they're trying to implement in the earth in these latter days. Because the more and more you trust them, the more and more you'll be deceived until you're destroyed. Look at our forefathers. Look at the forefathers of ours that trusted in the so-called white man and how far it led them. Some of them were able to get a piece, a crumb of that pie. But they were ultimately destroyed at the end. The so-called white man cannot be trusted, man. Not in any shape, form, or fashion. Not in any shape, form, or fashion. And the scriptures tell us that right off bat. All right, let's get this in Sirach or Ecclesiastes 12:10. It says, never trust thine enemy. All right, and the elephant in the room. All right, the common misconception amongst you Israelites is that you don't have any enemies. Well, reality has taught us that we do have enemies. And those enemies are all these other nations outside the nation of Israel. All these other nations have come together with one consent against us at one point in time, like it says in Psalms, the 83rd chapter. All right, let's get that. This is Psalms 83. And verse 2, for lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. Who? The tabernacles of Edom, all right, which is the so-called white race, all right, the so-called white man, all right, so-called Caucasians. And it names them first because they're our chiefest enemy. It says, and the Ishmaelites, all right, the so-called Arabs, of Moab, the so-called Chinese, and the Hagarenes, Gabal and Ammon, the so-called Japanese, and Amalek, those people over there in our land calling themselves by our name, all right, faking our heritage. It says the Philistines, so-called Africans, all right, the inhabitants of Tyre, another so-called Africans. Asshur also joined with them that have hope in the children of Lot, Salah, all right, and all these nations came together with one consent to cut us off from being a nation. We have enemies, man. And if you can't see that within your local community, then you blind as hell, man. Moab setting up these nail shops, these abominable restaurants in our neighborhoods, capitalizing off of our people, sending it right back to China. Ishmael running these gas stations, capitalizing off of Jake, sending it right back to China, selling them blacks, cigarillos. So-called white man got a church and a liquor store on every corner in our neighborhood, capitalizing off of the stupidity of Jake each and every Sunday, each and every day at these liquor stores. These are our enemies, man. They have done nothing to forward our communities. When we were building up Rosewood, Florida, Tulsa, Oklahoma, and there was many more cities outside of just those two. Those are just the most two memorable ones. But when we were building up those cities and establishing our own, all right, who came against us? Who bombed those cities? Who made sure they put a stop to that? A stop to our nation building and actually trying to establish a family structure, trying to establish our own hospitals, our own education system. Who put a stop to that? Ultimately, it was from the Lord. Ultimately, the Lord put a stop to that because it wasn't our time to rise up as a nation. But who did he use? Who did the Lord use to put a stop to that and forward our affliction? The so-called white man, along with these other nations. It's plain cut and dry. And at this point, if you can't see it, you're a part of the problem, man. It says back in Sirach, Ecclesiastes, chapter 12 and verse 10, never trust thine enemy, for like it's iron rusted, so is his wickedness. All right, and that iron rusted away as soon as that Edomite came and knocked on that door. That Freudian slipped right out. What the true intents of his mind slipped right out. We knocking on doors, talking to niggas. He wasn't trying to say neighbors. That's what they say behind closed doors. Whilst they smile in your face, give you a handshake, hey, hello. Behind that is evil intent. They hate you, Jakes, man. It says, though he humble himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him, and thou shalt be unto him as if thou hast wiped a looking glass, and thou shalt know that his rust have not altogether been wiped away. All right, and this is especially important, all right, to keep in mind in the days that we're coming into, because the so-called white man is getting ready to turn back into that old spirit again. And the system that he's setting up, all right, although he's humbling himself, he's crouching like a lion right now, promising peace and safety, promising everything will go back to normal, a new norm, promising convenience. Although he's humbling himself right now, the system that this devil is setting up is one of complete satanic agenda, man. This devil wants to chip, track, and trace every single thing on this earth so that he can be as God, like it says in 2 Thessalonians, the 2nd chapter. This devil has a God complex. And everything that he's setting up here in these latter days is against you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and American Indians, and against our power, which is even more the reason why you shouldn't trust him. All right? Got one more precept on that, and then we'll move on. All right, this is Sirach, or Ecclesiastes chapter 13. And I'm going to start at verse 3. It says, the rich man have done wrong, and yet he threateneth withal. The poor is wronged, and he must entreat also. If thou be for his profit, he will use thee. But if thou have nothing, he will forsake thee. And that's especially the case for those Jakes of our people, those of our people who receive a little bit of, the pie that Esau Edom has, only because it's for the so-called white man's profit. If he can use you, he'll use you. If he see you doing good in this school system, you're able to be trained, you're able to be taught, you're able to be compromised, he'll use you. He'll give you a crumb off of that table, just so that you can in turn go and deceive more of your own people. So you can turn more of your people against the Lord. Look at your Jay-Z's, your LeBrons, Beyonce's. All right, all these people who, all these Jakes were for the so-called white man's prophet. That's why he used them. But it says, but if thou have nothing, he will forsake thee. If he can't use you, he'll throw you aside, man. These NFL players, these NBA players, these retired NFL players who break their leg, it's just like a broken racehorse. Nigga, you can run, jump, you can run that 40, in 4 seconds flat. You can shoot that ball in that hoop real good. You can run and score them touchdowns real good. I can use you, boy. Come and get this money. Come and distract these people. But as soon as you get hurt, as soon as you break your leg, as soon as you speak out about anything about truth, you're cast to the side, man. Everything's taken away from you. And we've seen that countless times, man. Countless times with our people. And yet they still don't learn that the true riches are here in this truth, man. Those that can't be casted away, those that aren't, that can't be corrupted with moth and dust. Because wisdom and knowledge, and the application of this wisdom and knowledge and the faith that the Lord has bestowed upon us is the true riches. The scriptures say, if you desire a kingdom, seek after wisdom. If you desire thrones and scepters, seek after wisdom. Because through wisdom, through faith, and Yahweh Shem Yahushai, in our power, all things naturally flow after. But it says, verse 5, if thou have anything, he will live with thee. Yea, he will make thee bear and will not be sorry for it. If he have need of thee, he will deceive thee and smile upon thee and put thee in hope. Hey, and what does he do? Hey, when Jay get into the draft, congratulations. Glad to have you on the team. How did that devil walk up to the porch just now in that video? Hey, how you doing? From Pink Energy. Yeah. We do solo around here. We just walking around talking to niggas. It slipped that time. But best believe, if he have need of thee, he will deceive thee and smile upon thee and put thee in hope. He will speak thee fair and say, what wantest thou? And he will shame thee by his meats until he have drawn thee dry twice or thrice. And at the last he will laugh thee to scorn afterward. When he seeth thee, he will forsake thee and shake his head at thee. Beware that thou be not deceived and brought down in thy jollity. All right, beware that you don't be deceived, man. All right, that small instance with just that one Edomite, all right, really alludes to a bigger picture, because all of these devils think the same way. And these elites think even worse. The one to trust in these latter days is Yahweh Shem Yahushai. All right, and the government that he's establishing. All right, the system that he's establishing in the earth, man. If you continue to follow and trust after the so-called white man, you will be destroyed, man. There's no doubt about it. But we're going to move on. All right, I caught this other article from Vice earlier today. And it's entitled, Revealed, U.S. military bought mass monitoring tool that includes internet browsing, email data. All right, and we entered into a technocratic age, to where these elites are going to, are trying to get everyone caught up in the Internet of Things. They're trying to establish their dominance through way of technology. They're trying to establish that Godhead through way of technology. All right, and this is just one of the ways they're going about doing it. All right, collecting all this data. All right, collecting data on what you like, your dislikes, what you frequent the most, the sites that you frequent the most, all right, the people that you listen to the most. All right, they're collecting that data. All right, and pretty soon they're going to come out with a buster call. Who they can use in the society that they plan on having, and who they can't. And some of the first and some of the chiefest ones that's going to be on the list of people who they can't use are the Lord's prophets, man, and those, all right, who believe and push this truth and sincerity, all right, and sincerity and truth. Because the message that we have through the Spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushua is against everything that they're trying to establish. And it promotes the ways of righteousness. All right, it promotes the way of light instead of darkness. Which is this devil's kryptonite, man, which is the kryptonite to this kingdom, which is why this kingdom has been falling so rapidly ever since the truth came out. But it says, the augury platform includes highly sensitive network data that Team Simru, a private company, is selling to the military. It's everything. There's nothing else to capture except the smell of electricity. Yada, yada, yada. Multiple branches of the U.S. military have bought access to a powerful internet monitoring tool that claims to cover over 90% of the world's internet traffic, and which in some cases provides access to people's email data, browsing history, and other information such as their sensitive internet cookies. According to the contracting data and other documents reviewed by Motherboard, additionally, Senator Ron Wyden says that whistleblower has contacted his office concerning the alleged warrantless use and purchase of this data by NCIS and civilian law enforcement agency that's part of the Navy. After filing a complaint through the official reporting process with the Department of Defense, according to a copy of the letter shared with yada yada yada. The material reveals the sale and use of previously little known monitoring capability that is powered by data purchases from the private sector. The tool called Augury is developed by cybersecurity firm, which makes it available to the government and corporate customers as a paid service. All right. And we enter into that age where the Lord is getting ready to cut off, this truth. We're getting ready to enter into that famine of the word. All right, because they're doing this to build up a case against the Lord's elect. All right, a case is being built against us, speakers of truth. All right, and pretty soon there's going to be legislation set in place to get us off the highways and byways, which they are already working on. All right. Well, the elders in Dallas have a testimony about how somebody came out to their camp. Well, police was telling them how they at the city hall every week complaining about the prophets being out in the highways and byways. Best believe that these people, these elites, they know about our ministry. They know about us. They know about the Lord's prophets on the highways and byways, and they're trying to get us off the highways and byways. They're trying to build up a case against us. And ultimately, it's just gonna issue in prophecy. Let's get this in Amos chapter 8 and verse 11. It says, "Behold, the days come, saith the Lord power, that I will send a famine in the land, not a famine of bread nor a thirst for water, but of hearing the words of the Lord." All right, and this is the time that we speedily approaching. We're speedily approaching the famine of the word. And the reason why we bring this out week in and week out, damn near every week in and week out, is because it's important to be storing up the proper tools in this time of liberty. While this word is still easily accessible, while you're still able to reach out to the prophets, to get understanding, to get knowledge, to get experience, it's important to do so. All right, because when this internet is shut down, that's essentially the Lord closing his mouth and opening up the floodgates for judgment. That's essentially the Lord closing the gates of mercy, man, the doors of mercy. Because the prophets are an extension of the Lord's mercy. This word is an extension of the Lord's mercy. And when it's cut off, that mercy is going to be cut off. And it's only going to be divvied to those who have been exercising and practicing in this wisdom, knowledge, understanding, this faith. That's why it's important to be using our time wisely. Trying to build an experience, trying to build in faith. Going out and doing the work, to the best of our ability, man, storing up these treasures in heaven. Because we're going to need to cash out here pretty soon, man. Shit is getting ready to get real. But there's a mercy promised to the Lord's elect. But that mercy is going to be to those who have been practicing now. Who have been using and treating this word delicately, preciously. This is 2nd Esdras chapter 5 and verse 9. "And salt water shall be found in the sweet, and all friends shall destroy one another. Then shall wit hide itself, and understanding will draw itself into a secret chamber. All right, and what is the secret chamber that understanding is going to withdraw itself into? The vessels of the elect. All right, understanding is going to withdraw itself into the vessels of the elect, and understanding and wisdom and knowledge is only going to be contained within the vessels of few. Very few people on this earth in the times to come are going to possess the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding that is going to be the stability of their times and the strength of their salvation, pursuant to Isaiah 33:6. Which is going to innately make the men of the Lord very high value. All right, the true high value men are getting ready to be manifest in the earth. Lord willing, we're that number, man. Because what the world is going to realize is that, contrary to popular belief, our value isn't in the amount of cars we have, isn't in the amount of women we're able to command, isn't in our good job or whatever. True value and true wealth is in your understanding of your power, your connection with your God, your understanding of the will of your God, and your faith in your God. That's where true value comes. That's what makes a man really valuable, truly valuable. That stability is going to be a staple in these times to come. Just to be stable, just to have a stable mind when all hell is breaking loose. That's going to be a quality highly sought after, which is why we got to use this time wisely while we still have it, But moving on. I think my battery is on 5. Yeah, 5. Let's hit this article. All right. Now, I wanted to touch on this because another thing that is speedily approaching us, all right, another huge prophecy is World War III. All right, World War III is one of the end time prophecies that's going to mark, all right, the end of this empire. All right, because once this third world war, all right, is enacted, all right, it's going to destroy the Americas completely. All right, America's going to be a desert wasteland. All right, you ain't going to be able to tell the landmarks where Nevada was, where Orlando was, where California was. It's going to be all wiped out, all right, by Russia, China, Iran, all right, its allies. And this is the time that we're speedily approaching. The war drums have been beating louder and louder as the days go by. And I know you've noticed it too. It's like damn near every article every other article you read or every other article you see is about war. It's about tumults. It's about an uprising, which is the spirit of the Lord raising up jealousy in these kings, stirring up the minds of these kings to fulfill prophecy, which is this World War III is a huge prophecy. All right, because in the midst of World War III, Yahushua is going to return. All right, our Lord is going to return in the midst of World War III. And he's going to claim victory over all nations, man. This is a huge staple, but this article is from studyfinds.org. Right, and the title is Nuclear War Between the U.S. and Russia Will Cause 5 billion people to Die of Hunger, which not only would it cause mass famine, all right, but it'll cause mass death, all right. The scriptures say the third part of men was swallowed up. Book of Revelation 11. And let's start at verse 12. Let's start at verse 12. It says, "And they heard a great voice from heaven saying unto them, Come up hither. And they ascended up into heaven in a cloud, and their enemies beheld them." All right, speaking about the elect, all right, ascending up into the chariot of the Lord. All right, it says, "In the same hour there was a great earthquake, and the 10th part of the city fell, which America is divided into 10 FEMA zones from 0 to 9. All right, it says, "And in the earthquake was slain of men 7,000. All right, meaning a complete number. All right, 7 is just represents completion. All right, 7,000 represents completion. It says, "And the remnant were affrighted and gave glory to the power of heaven." All right, and this earthquake is going to be caused, all right, by that ICBM, that nuclear missile, touching down on the earth. All right, because those nuclear missiles carry great force behind them. All right, they carry city leveling forces behind them. And when tens of thousands of them are shot off, all right, that impact is going to cause a great earthquake. All right, and in that earthquake are going to be slain 7,000 men, all right, a complete number of men, which can be billions. It can be millions. It can be billions. You know, it says, verse 14, the second woe is past. All right, the second war, the second world's war is past. All right, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly. All right, and this third world's woe is coming quickly. All right, it's quicker than even we think. All right, the scriptures say that our salvation is nearer than when we believe. All right, and all these prophecies, really, when you look at it on a bigger picture, you know, just looking not from the inside out, but from the outside in, things are moving quick. You know, in our daily lives, it seems like shit is moving slow, but man, the Lord is working round the clock for us, man. The Lord is really working round the clock for us. While we sleep, the Lord working. While we bullshitting, the Lord working. While we working, the Lord working. The Lord been putting in work, man. And this third world's woe is going to come quick, all right? Right after this MOTB is issued in, which that is another huge prophecy that's playing out right now too, all right, the MOTB, all right, which that's going to be, that system is already set in place. It's just a matter of time at this point, you know, so things are looking on the up and up, Akim. You know, I just want to bring out these couple of various topics, man, get into these end time prophecies, you know, Lord, when it's edifying unto you. You know, we have a lot to look forward to. All right, the Lord is truly moving on our behalf on a scale that we can't even comprehend. You know, the Lord is getting ready to shake not only kingdoms, but the earth for our sakes. Right now is the time to be really using and utilizing this truth for what it's intended for. You know, which is for us to grow in faith. You know, for us to grow in the first fruits of the Spirit. You know, so with that being said, shalom, stay up.